Politics is not a game, it's an earnest business. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Our topic of discussion today is politics, the lessons learnt and the way forward. Joining us this evening on the show are Attorney at Law Lakmali Hemachandra from the NPP, representing the government tonight on the show. Also joining us tonight on the show are Barath Arullsamy from the SJB Alliance, Damitha Wickramasinghe from the Sri Lanka Pudujana Peramuna, as well as Thanuka Nandasiri from the People's Struggle Alliance. To pose questions to our panelists this evening, on to be made right is Naviksha, on to be made immediate left is Shihar Rani, is independent journalist. You too can join in as far as the conversation is concerned. The number to send in your messages via WhatsApp is 076 656 5353. The number once again 076 656 5353. Let's get the ball rolling today with Attorney at Law Lakmali Hemachandra from the NPP. Lakmali, I saw some FB post a few days ago stating that you had visited China. Just make us cognizant about this visit and what was the ultimate objective of this visit in question.
So first of all, thank you for having me here again. And the visit was a parliamentary delegation from Sri Lanka. I think the objective of the delegation was the visit on the side of China was organized by what you call the NDRC, which is the National Development and Reform Commission of China. And the parliamentary delegation was basically with the view of learning about what China is doing these days in terms of technological advancements and governance advancements. And so I think we had a really good couple of weeks. It was a 16 days workshop. It was quite long. And we had a good couple of weeks learning about what is happening in China, and especially in terms of the digital economy that they are promoting, and they have structured really well, and other technological advancements. And the objective was to find ways where we can work together between the two countries, and how China can support Sri Lanka in the future, endeavors that the government is taking. But I think the good thing was, I have to say this, it was a parliamentary delegation. The government and the opposition went with the parliamentary staff. I think we represented the country as a team, as a parliamentary delegation, and you have to give that credit to the opposition members, especially the ones that went with us. We had 3 opposition members, and they contributed very well to the discussions, and they contributed very well to the the uniformity of representation in terms of Sri Lanka. And I think it was very pleasant for me to deal with the opposition and deal with the opposition members.
I hope today's discussion will also be very pleasant.
For sure. And I want to mention, just to give them the credit, it was Honorable Kins Nelson from Polonnaruwa, and Honorable Anuradha Jayarathne from Kandy, and Basurege Aryavansh from Abilipiti. I think they did a
So they are not as bad as they are in Parliament? When they go out of the
I have not to be honest, I have rarely interacted with them in Parliament, but I was I think all of us were pleasant.
So let's get into the discussion now, because I want to give you an opportunity, Lakmali, because you come on the show. I thought I'll ask you the first question on this visit of yours, but let's get to the topic that we're talking about today and the discussions that we're looking at, lessons learned and the way forward. Now, Lakmali, today is a very significant day for Sri Lanka, because in 2022, on the same day, is the day in which Gotabaya Rajapaksa left the country. The day in which the President's house and the Prime Minister's residence were stormed by protesters at that time. So this day is a very significant day. Now, looking back, 2022, now we're in 2025, what lessons have we learned as a nation? And have we really moved forward as a country since then? Let's take a look at the last few months as well. Your thinking on this?
Yes, that now that you reminded me, honestly, I was like, I'm a bit out of the loop here, but yes, today is July 9th, and it has been 2 years since Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa was made to resign from presidency, and I think, I mean, I was there among the protesters at that time in Colombo, and I mean, I think we have made good progress in the way, I think for 2 years, we have made good progress in the way politics is conducted. In terms of, usually with a big, transformation like that, where a leader, where a president, where the head of the state is required to step down, not necessarily in a constitutional manner, which it was not, right? It was not necessarily it was not an election of sort. It was basically a massive protest that led to the resignation of the president. And I think when you look at countries where that has happened previously, even regional South Asian countries where it has happened, I think we have made good progress in governance, in sort of, maintaining political stability without spiraling down, which could have happened, right? And I believe it was the will of the people to sustain the aspiration for change and progress, which eventually achieved that. It could have led to undemocratic governance. It could have led to military coups. It could have gone really different ways. But I think our people are very democratic. Our people are very patient, and they persevere. So I think they eventually came through with a long-term, eventually an electoral overthrow of what we call the system. So I think that is a good thing, and it has set new benchmarks in governance, and it has brought about a new political culture in governance. We are not saying that we are perfect. Of course, we also make mistakes, but I think even if you look at the parliament, when you look at the way the media, the way the criticisms are conducted, you can see that there is a higher expectation, there are higher standards, the whole benchmarks have changed. So even the slightest mistake, even the slightest, let's say, even words, the way we conduct ourselves, it's very highly scrutinized, and it can be a problem for politicians, for members of the government. I mean, I'm not saying that it's entirely fair all the time, but I think it also shows that within a really short period of time, we have completely changed the culture of governance in Sri Lanka.
Right. And so, Lakmali, when you look at what was promised at electoral fora prior to the presidential polls, there were claims about the rice mafia being stopped with one strike of a pen. We never expected the country to bring down salt. It's 16 years since the last time we imported salt to the country. You said about mistakes that has been committed from your side as well. How do you define or elaborate on the mistakes that you're talking about? The good things you may have a lot, but mistakes, let's talk about what are these mistakes?
I mean, I'm not saying that, I don't know about striking the rice mafia with one strike of a pen, but we have made progress in handling the rice mafia. Maybe it will take some time to eventually, bring equality or you'd say equity to the market. It will take time. You need to have a government and a state system which can actually support that, which we don't have right now. I mean, we have been very honest with that. Our state officials, our state structures, the bureaucracy, the financing we have is not adequate to tackle the mafia. No, it's not just the rice mafia. There are several other, let's say, interest groups, vested groups, who will be having a certain amount of power, and I think we are making good progress. You will see with the next budget also, we are we are taking one step at a time and trying to first of all strengthen the state institutions, tackle corruption within state institutions, make them work better, give them resources, give them technology, finance technology. It's a huge task, and we have been doing that. And even the salt issue, that the importing of salt, I think these are, production issues don't arise overnight. They definitely don't arise over one quarter also. It has been a sustaining issue, and unfortunately we have to face that, right, which is okay. I mean, we will I think the minister, I'm not very familiar with the salt issue, but I think the minister explained in the parliament also that we have been, tackling it, and it's important because it's imported because we don't want shortages to arise.
So just trying to draw a parallel to your visit to China. Now, initially, President Arullsamy also visited China, and then he came to Sri Lanka, and we saw the manner in which how Sinopec had agreed to provide Sri Lanka with $3 billion worth of investments. However, Dr. Harsh De Silva, putting on his FB remarks, said that most of these investments are not coming into fusion by now. So I'm trying to understand how much of investments have we been able to really draw in the last few months that you all have been in power, because the numbers, if I'm not mistaken, let me just read this Facebook remark from Arullsamy Sanagi. He says in Q1 of 2025, Sri Lanka saw a 90% increase in FDI, $96 million plus $21 million rise in domestic investment, and 176 growth in exports. Total FDI this year stands at $4.67 billion. It's time to move forward beyond missed opportunities, and the BOI is focused on new sectors and sustainable growth. Now, responding to this, Harsh De Silva had said that we have, Sunil Handuneti has claimed that only $650 million has come in. However, Harsh De Silva says that only $80 million has come in the last few months as FDI. So I'm trying to figure out from you, Lakmali, what's the actual number that
to be honest, about? I don't have an actual figure of what the actual inflow to the country is, but we have signed the Sinopec deal and it is going through. That is to $3.7 billion USDs. And so when we were in China, the ambassador of China to Sri Lanka actually also shared with us that there are other investments coming from China as well, which will come through within this year. So, this is a new government and it has taken some time for us to stabilize, and it will take some time. We are not expecting FDI flows to increase without any institutional changes, without any legal framework changes. There is a certain good faith and good name that we have regained in the world, but I don't think that will definitely that won't be sufficient to increase FDIs overnight. So we have to work on it. We have to create a better business culture, a better better institutions.
Right.
We have to be more efficient. Without all that, it's not. Let's be realistic. The FDIs are not growing, but we are actually working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to you, Attorney General Lakmali Hemachandra, representing the NPP, joining us this evening on the show as our government representative. I now move my attention towards Barath Arullsamy from the SJB Alliance. Very much an SJB, right, Barath?
No, we are Alliance, the Tamil Progressive Alliance is part of SJB Alliance.
So I'm just trying to figure out, are you all still in the SJB?
We are part of SJB Alliance.
Because we've seen there is a tug of war within the SJB in terms of policy decisions, policy direction, all that and more. If you look at the past, I'm just going back to 2022. Why? Because it's a very historic day for Sri Lanka. A day that we don't want to see ever repeated in the annals of our future as well. But just trying to figure out, you all had over 73 members supporting your candidate, Dara Salha Peruma, at that presidential vote that took place in August. I'm trying to figure out, Barath, how did the SJB numbers dwindle to less than 40? And if you look at the Tamil Progressive Alliance, your leader did not even secure a seat from the Colombo district. He came from the back door of the national list as well. This is quite a lesson that we have learnt in politics. Nothing is permanent.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for having me here today for the show. And also it's a historical day, as you correctly mentioned. In this day, more than shift in the government, resignation of presidents, the people, the general public, expected accountability and transparency from a leadership and from the government. That is the crux of the entire the movement, the uprising of the people. But unfortunately, we don't see a kind of accountability, transparency being yet established among the system. Coming back to your question, back then, yes, there were lot of political turbulences. When it comes to, since you mentioned about our party leader, so there is a wave of understanding, a wave of public acceptance for NPP in the last general election. But we have seen a reasonable decline in the support which they have got in the parliament election, comparing with parliament and presidential election, comparing with our local government elections. So our party has gained nearly 79 members in the local government, and also we contested with SJB Alliance, and also Tamil Progressive Alliance contested in some areas independently. So we as an opposition, yes, we still have the confidence of the people. So that is what matters most. And also what our party leader has come to parliament is not something illegal. It is, it is with the legal framework. So I have been emphasizing that in various fora. And now we are, looking forward and making sure what the government has promised to get that overwhelming majority. They should be accountable, and also they should be, very much transparent in their promises.
Barath, my question was, what lessons have you all learned as a party? Because if you look at 2022, at the vote to elect a president of the country, the SJB Alliance was able to garner over 70 members to vote in favor of their candidate, while the Ranil Wickramasinghe party at that time, headed by the SLPP, got over 120 seats, members voting in favor of his candidature as well. So dwindling the numbers from over 70 to less than 40 now, isn't this a big slap on the face of the main opposition party, that is SJB? Doesn't it require a change of leadership at least now?
Shamir, I just wanted to just quote one thing. See, deception, especially when used in manipulate people power, is one of the most dangerous crimes against just society. What I understand, the deception made by the ruling government now, misleading and misinforming the people, this for 76 years, the political players have, led down this country into a chaos, and gaining that trust from the people, and they have come into power. Right? Yes, it is a slap for us. We didn't deceive the people. We told the truth. So I think in that elections also, when the referring parliament selection also, we didn't want to take an arbitrary action by deceiving the people. Like we came forward in a democratic practices, we came forward the people, but people have decided, given the mandate to the present government. So the present government's mandate is to, uphold what the people have given or expected from that day.
So let's rewind 2 months ago. 2 months before the 9th of July, when Sajid Premadasa was asked by Gotabaya Rajapaksa to take the premiership. He didn't do it, and that was the reason that the then president approached Ranil Wickramasinghe to take over the post of premiership. Do you think the situation would have changed drastically if Sajid Premadasa did accept the post of premiership at that time?
There are two school college of thoughts, one may argue yes, it would have been changed. One may argue yes, no, it is against the democratic practices. But
what do you think?
What I think, when it comes to a challenge taking, yes, we should have taken the challenge and we should have proceeded further. But opposition leader Sajid Premadasa wanted to go on a democratic perspective. So, and he came to the people, and people had selected NPP. So it is ultimately the mandate of the people what matters most, Mr. Shamir. That is what we also wanted to emphasize that. So those who play with the emotions of the people has to, also be ready to accept the wrath of the people.
Just Barath, because you spoke about a quote on deception, I thought I will, before I move to Damitha, also just remind you a quote about opportunities don't come in the guise of opportunities always. It comes in the guise of work also sometimes.
See, opportunity will be used by individuals. We use opportunities wisely.
But anyway, having said that, where the current equation stands, it's for the people to decide whether Sajid Premadasa had made the right choice or not. We'll talk about all this.
Yes.
I won't talk about a lot of things, but let me switch to Damitha Wickramasinghe from the SLPP. Damitha, I honestly don't want to ask you a question. I'm just going to ask you to tell me the experience of a party that won a majority, the youngest political party, which made a resounding victory at the 2018 local government elections, then the 2019 presidential election, and then the 2020 parliament election, and then being chased away from power. What's the experience you get as a young politician who's sitting here today?
Well, first of all, Shamir, thank you very much for inviting me. I mean, that's a very good question. So, as you correctly said, as a party, within a span of 3 years, we managed to win almost 80% of the local government, and then the presidential election and also the parliamentary election with a resounding majority. But where we, sort of how would I phrase that? Where we went wrong in a way is the president that we got elected was not sharp enough to understand the political game, right? So a bunch of conspirators, some within and some outside, schemed a sort of a anti-government movement. Yes, there was a financial and economic issue brewing up due to COVID and various reasons, but we were unable to tackle the political conspiracies which were cooking underneath. So now if you take the statements coming out of President Donald Trump's administration, right, especially through Doge, it was revealed that for regime change, especially in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, and I can't remember the other country, an amount of $200+ million have been channeled. So taking that into account, I mean, if you just take that, for that particular project, 30% of that, funding came to Sri Lanka. You're looking at about 25 billion project. So the good thing is, due to the inability and inefficiency of the NPP government, the voters have started to come back to us. If you take the, recent local government election, we are the party.
We will talk about that, Damitha, momentarily. But what I want to figure out is, now you say that there was a conspiracy within the party as well.
Yeah.
Who are these forces that we're talking
I don't
about?
want to
Is it from the same family that Gotabaya Rajapaksa hails from?
No, I don't want to get into names, but it was few members of the cabinet, especially. If you can remember, there were statements saying that, petrol and diesel was available only for 6 hours, 12 hours. Artificial queues were made. During
those statements were made by Udaygamampil at that time.
I won't get into names.
I'm just telling
but
you.
the petroleum minister at that time. So if you let me finish.
Yeah.
So now the voters have understood the inability and inefficiency of the NPP government, especially now.
The opening remarks. Let's not try to
conclude my.
Let's not try to point fingers at anyone. But I'm just trying to figure out, when you say within the party, now are you referring to people like Udaygamampil and Vimal Veeramansa?
There were so many actors. Not even in the cabinet. There were actors within the administration. There were external actors. Now, when the opposition leader went to the Aragalaya Bhumiya, right, he almost got killed. And whoever were throwing stones and brooms and sticks, which party are they representing now in parliament? So where I am getting at is, now since the government is losing popularity, we are very confident that we will win the next presidential election, and under President Namal Rajapaksa administration, our first directive will be to appoint a presidential commission to investigate this 2022 Aragalaya and all these economic debacles, and we will put them to account.
So, Damitha, just for me to understand now, what happened to opposition leader at that time? You would have understood the air at that time was everyone hated politicians, and everyone were branded. Let me finish. Everyone were of the opinion that all politicians should go home. That was the opinion of the Aragalaya, and you
except AKD.
No, I don't know. You tell me.
No,
but I'm trying to figure out.
Garland, no? When he visited the, agitation ground or Aragalaya Bhumiya, he was garlanded and welcomed, and almost he was carried into the esplanade.
Yeah, but you would have not noticed Sarath Fonseca was also done the same thing. So
but as was Sarath Fonseca tangible political entity at that time? I don't think. Anuruddha Dissanayake was.
Right. So thank you very much, Damitha Wickramasinghe from the SLPP. Many questions are coming to my mind right now, but I'll leave it for the second round as we go along. But I want to switch to Thanuka Nandasiri from the People's Struggle Alliance. Thanuka, 2022. Did your party do anything significant on what happened on the 9th of July 2022?
First of all, thank you for having me here. Actually, People's Struggle Alliance consists of 3 parties, and actually I represent Peratugami Samajwadi Paksha, that we were there.
Frontline Socialist Party.
Yes, we were there. And
your convener was quite an actor at that time.
Yes.
In the political stage.
Yes. But we were there as independent bodies. But we didn't have a political party mandate in the Aragalaya. Not only us, there are several independent people, and there are several political parties, there are several organizations. They represent as independent people in the Aragalaya. We didn't have our own agenda in the Aragalaya.
So I just want to ask you, who blocked the presidential secretariat entrance? Which members did that?
People who came to the
people came subsequently,
yes.
Thanuka.
Yes.
But the entrance was blocked.
Yes.
For a couple of days.
Yes.
Only then you saw the people rallying around and all that, and it became like a Gota Gogam and all that ensued later. But who, in your opinion, blocked now? That was the start. Was it the frontline members of the Frontline Socialist Party that blocked that entrance?
No, definitely no.
It's not.
No. There are several independent organizations and several independent persons who came to the Golf-Face Green and acted as they wish at the moment.
But your party was not involved in this process?
No. In the process blocking the gate at the first instance, no, we were not there.
So you are not the party that initiated the first or took the first trump card out in terms of launching the Aragalaya. It's not the Frontline Socialist Party.
We understood people are coming forward, and at the moment we went there, and thereafter we gave the leadership.
So you all gave the leadership?
We gave leadership with the other people. But as a party, and we independently, we joined with them and we gave the leadership.
So Thanuka, the NPP was able to leverage on the people's movement at that time, and as a result of that, they have only 3 members in parliament, which they hear Thanuka Nandasiri and Harini Amrasuriya. However, today they have 159 members, including friend and panelist Lakmali Hemachandra, who is a nationalist member of parliament from the NPP here as well. 159 members. Why isn't it that there is no one from the People's Struggle Alliance in parliament?
That is the decision of the people. We went before the people and we put forward our own agenda, our own mandate. I don't know why the people didn't understand that.
But don't you think your policies are very archaic and doesn't work in the context of the political diagram of Sri Lanka?
No, actually we had two plans. We had interim measures also, but the problem is people didn't understand that. But I believe the people is now getting understanding our mandate.
Yeah, but even if you look at the numbers that you all have garnered at the current local government polls that was held, it's only 16 members. Very small compared to the 8,000 plus members that you're talking about at the local councils.
But we as a People's Struggle Alliance, we started few years ago, and now 16 members is a big number for us actually.
But the Frontline Socialist Party is the biggest arm in this PSA, right?
Yes.
So the People's Struggle Alliance, which is constituted by the Frontline Socialist Party has been there almost as the JVP in this country.
Definitely yes, but we have to go before the people and get them understand
So
what
don't
we
you
are
think
saying.
the people have rejected you all?
No, people will understand. But
When?
Maybe maybe they will take time, but now they are understanding. They have given us 16 members.
But Thanuka, if you look at your policies, you all want to make Sri Lanka like Cuba. You all want to make Sri Lanka like Zimbabwe. Who wants to be in that situation? A far left attitude, a far left principled policies. I don't think any of us would like to be in a country where it's like Cuba. Or we've had members on the show coming on this show, members from your party saying that they want Sri Lanka to be another Cuba.
No. We promote socialism, but we don't want to make Sri Lanka a socialist country alone, like Cuba. This is we have an international mandate. So one day the people of the world will decide to.
I always ask this question, Thanuka, but
Yes.
I'm sorry to ask you this question
Yes.
again. Every time we have a People's Struggle Alliance member, I ask this question.
Yes.
But I'm going to ask you this question anyway
Yes.
again. Tell me one country in the world that has done well in the same policy framework that you're talking about. I don't. I
Yes.
always socialism as a principle.
Yes.
Tell me
No.
which country.
We don't
Now, if
believe.
you look at the NPP, NPP
Yes.
used to be a left-oriented. The JP was a left-oriented party, but they transformed themselves. They came as the NPP. They got professionals like Lakmali to join hands. Now they've changed. You can see a little bit of change in their policies as
we
well.
don't believe
But
one
you all
country.
don't.
Yes.
But you all don't believe at all.
We don't believe one country in the world can make socialism. We are of the view that all of the citizens, all the people in the world should understand the social system and convert this to socialist world.
Why do I get the feeling, Thanuka, this is not about a political party. It's about finding funding for a political group. Why do I get the feeling it's not about an ideology that you all want to promote? It's you all are better off being in the opposition than being in government because you all get funding from outside.
No, definitely no. We are not getting funding out from outside. I think the people can't understand and people don't want to sacrifice as we ask from them. That is why the people always selected the group or the parties which gave thousands of promises. That's why we are in the opposition at the moment.
Thanuka, just tell me, would you like to be in a closed country, not looking at international opportunities?
No, I don't like, and we don't ask for that. We are not asking for a closed
Now,
country.
you all are against the IMF, for an example.
Yes, IMF we are against, but
now, when Sri Lanka was in a situation in 2022,
yes.
it's because of the IMF that we are somewhat stable as a nation.
No, actually that is temporarily. There are several conditions they have imposed on us. Now the government is moving forward to discharge those promises they gave to the IMF. Now the
Right.
people are going to suffer from that conditions.
Right. So we will talk about all this, Thanuka, momentarily as we go along. So we are in conversation with Lakmali, Barath, Damitha and Thanuka. I have Naveksha onto my immediate right, and onto my immediate left is Shihar. Because we always give the ladies the first opportunity, I want to give Naveksha the opportunity to pose questions first.
Thank you, Shamir. My question would be to Lakmali Hemachandra. The general public is, of course, right now praising the NPP in terms of good governance, political stability and accountability, and of that aspect as to how you all have been taking the country forward. But the general public is also having questions as to how the standard of living has improved, how the economic burden has reduced, because they often say that, you know, we don't really see a difference between President Ranil Wickramasinghe's economic policy and the NPP. There is no significant reduce in this economic burden that was put on the Sri Lankan citizen back then. What do you have to say about that? Because even recently we saw that there was a VAT being applied to non-resident digital service providers, and that also will affect the country in some way, especially in terms of global best practices in taxing the digital economy. What are your thoughts on those aspects?
First of all, I don't think taxing the digital economy is an exception. I think it is a global best practice to tax the digital economy. Taxation is not a bad thing. In terms of what you're saying about the standard of living not significantly improving, I think there is a certain truth to that, because increasing the standard of living requires a certain amount of structural reforms and certain amount of, you know, economic growth that we need. We can't improve people's standard of living within, let's say, a short period of time. That's impossible. What we can do is take strides towards that direction where you can actually grow the economy and share the benefits among the people. That's the policy that we have. So, and we have to also be realistic about the current economic situation of the country, and you know, like Thanuka was saying, that we have to, you know, there are certain commitments that we have made to the IMF, to the international community, and we are within a certain program. We are not entirely self-financed as an economy. We rely on outside actors to, you know, support us during this period, and we have to, you know, the reality is that we have to be sort of structured by that.
But so then back then, when you were in the opposition, when the NPP was in the opposition, your party would allege that Ranil Wickramasinghe would just, there were queues, but now we don't see queues. However, there is no real impact on the burden that is put on the people.
That's true.
There is no significant decrease in the prices of goods like essential commodities and so on. So even with the NPP right now, it's the same thing.
No, I mean, that's what I was saying. If you want to increase the prices of goods, you have to increase the productivity of the economy. And you cannot do that overnight. You need, that's what I was explaining to Shamir earlier as well, that you need institutional changes, you need policy changes, and we are not in a position right now, which is what the NPP has been continuously saying. Even before the election, we have been very forthright with the idea that we are not going to exceed the IMF program. But we will try to make it smoother and less harder, you know, softer on people, which we have tried to do. We have reduced certain tax burdens. We have, you know, stopped certain policies from getting implemented. For example, I saw very recently that there was a property tax. IMF has said that next year there will be a property tax, but the government position is that the imputed rental income tax, which was to be implemented last year, we are not going to implement that. That is not the property tax that we are going to. We have to design a new property tax, which will shift the burden on, you know, high property owners, not the, you know, middle income earners, not the middle class. If there is going to be a property tax, it has to be fair. So that is the government position. So we have stopped certain policies, we have changed certain policies, we have, you know, definitely improved governance in terms of anti-corruption and law and order in terms of, you know, how law is delivered. So I think there are certain improvements and there are certain, you know, areas which we have to, I think, move faster. My opinion is that there are certain areas that we have to move faster, and, you know, this was only the first budget of the government. The next budget is, of course, going to be more towards the productive economy and development oriented economic policy making. So I think, let's see.
So Lakmali, just to understand now, we're talking about some of the matters that were brought out or defined by some as mistakes. Now, We saw the manner in which how the presidential pardon was one of the biggest topics that were discussed during the recent past, and we saw today the Commissioner General of Prisons was even released on bail. So there were certain members apparently who were released without the president's signature. I'm trying to figure out why isn't it that the officials or the law enforcement authorities have not arrested those individuals who were illegally released on presidential directives. Now you're a lawyer. You
No, I
definitely can ask
think
this question.
legally you can't do that because they're pardoned now. I'm not very strong about this aspect of the law, but I think once you're pardoned, then you
No,
can't.
but we saw Damitha Silva being rearrested again.
Unless
when
there's a
they-
court directive, unless there's a court directive, because they were convicted, now they're pardoned, and unless there's a judicial intervention into this, I don't think the police can just go and arrest.
No, but based on the understanding that I have as a journalist, there are certain areas in which only individuals could be pardoned. Those who have committed certain certain
there are
crimes.
certain criteria on it.
Right. So based on that, you can't arrest these individuals.
I don't think you can arrest the individual because, I mean, when you look at the whole malpractice that has happened, I'm sure the individual at one point is contributing towards that, but it is more the state administration, the prison administration, and the fault is with the administration part, right? So you can't really. True, these are people who should have been convicted, who should have been in prison, and so on and so on. But now that the pardon is delivered, I think we have to find. I'm open to ideas. I'm not saying that this is the final legal opinion on this, but I do believe that once the pardon is delivered, it's unless there's a judicial intervention into it, the police can't arrest.
Right. So I'm also trying to figure out, Lakmali, these are incidents that took place during the tenure of your government. Sunil Vatagala, addressing media, said that there was an individual who was trying to make a fake passport, 17 fake passports, when he was there in the premises as the minister, as the deputy minister in charge. Has any arrest been made?
I'm not sure. I don't know about that.
Right. Why I'm asking you this is, we saw the manner in which how there was a criminal activity in courts just a couple of weeks ago, where an individual was gunned down inside the court premises, and there was a female accused in this case, and she hasn't been apprehended yet. Why is it that the law enforcement authorities are taking a lackluster attitude on this? Has she left the country?
I don't know whether she has left the country or not, but I do think, our law enforcement authorities are not, what can I say, they are not very, well equipped, not very well manned, not very well trained into doing these investigations. And there are, as you can see clearly with the recent arrests and with the recent anti-corruption activities that has been going on, there are certain compromised individuals also within these institutions. If you look at the prison incident, for example.
Yeah, but when you look at it, today one of the parliamentarians said that one individual with these 17 passports could be this individual who is at large. Probably she has left the country.
Wasn't the immigration controller arrested on one of these allegations as well, that they have given a illegal passport to one of the criminals? So the issue of crime in Sri Lanka is much more complicated and much more systematic than we like it to be. We want it. We see, like, this is what the president every day says, that whenever he makes a speech, he always says, you see people moving around, you think they are normal bureaucrats and state officials, but they're also involved in certain illegal networks and illegal activities, and it is very well, it's very well networked and it's very deep within the state. So you have to sort of unclove it, but without hurting the administration as well. I think the Bribery Commission has been doing a especially good job in doing that, but we do need to, anti-corruption has been our strongest, I think, activism during the government as well, but I think even that has to be ramped up if we are to really, remove these practices out of.
So, Lakmali, now there is an issue with regard to, I'll give Shehar an opportunity to pose a question after this.
I want to respond to Damitha on something that he said earlier, but
I'll give you an
I'm
opportunity.
hoping, yeah.
I'll give you an
Okay.
opportunity. But I just want to ask you another question so we put into perspective. So as we go along, they too can ask you questions and
Yeah.
you too can ask questions from them. We know that a female doctor, a surgeon,
Yeah.
was arrested and now she's in remand custody. There seems to be a pushback now from doctors when prescribing for patients to get outside medicine. I saw the GMO has also commented as to define exactly what a doctor can do and what a doctor can't do, so they know exactly what has to be done.
Yeah.
But saving lives of individuals is a key at any cost.
Yeah.
I think that should be the priority of the government as well. Leaving aside what this neurosurgeon did is let the court decide. But don't you think there seems to be a pushback from state officials to take action? Because I've seen the manner in which how presidents have told that you don't have to break the law, but bend the law as much as possible so you can assist the people, the
Yeah.
public at large.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the policy of
I
the NPP
think
government
this is
on
something that as a country and as a party, we are also, this is a fresh situation for us, implementing these policies, right? And I think
And
one of
everyone is corrupt. No more.
No, I mean, that exactly, right? I think
That's
one
the
of the
biggest-
problems,
Yeah.
I don't think everybody is corrupt, I mean, I just think
But
that...
majority of them are. If you look at the numbers, how many foreign ministers are in behind bars?
True, but then, I think it's also about, as a country, we do not have rationalized structured systems and industries and services, right? These are all ad hoc practices that we have picked up over a period of time, and sometimes they work, sometimes they lead to corruption, sometimes they are very well, intended, but then they are not really systems. This is the problem, I think, with doctors, customs, lawyers, anybody in the country. I think we do not, for example, private transport, right? You have trishows, private bus. It's not necessarily the fault of the people or the individuals who are engaged in these businesses and industries. It's just because the state has done such a bad job in structuring them as industries and as services. So I think that is something that we need to be, if we are going to reform these areas. I mean, while we appreciate the work that the Bribery Commission is doing on anti-corruption, I think law enforcement also has to be complemented with proper structuring of these services and industries and proper financing, so that, I do agree that there are certain, I mean, my sister is a dentist. I see every day how she works hard to, deliver certain services, sometimes putting her own, personal income also into that. So I do believe that there are good practitioners, and there are, most of them are good practitioners. It's just that we have...
Not probably. Everyone
No, I
can't
think
afford like your
I honestly think
sister.
most of them are good practitioners. I just think that we have gotten used to, ad hoc systems, where we don't necessarily have rule-based systems, but, we rely on each other's goodwill and good
No,
relationships.
but what is important, Lakmali, is not about, I don't think any doctor needs to serve the people from their own money or whatever it is.
Unfortunately,
but the
yeah.
process has to be there.
That's
there has to be a
exactly.
certain process
True,
that has to
true.
be adhered to.
I think
Don't
that
you
we
think
have
so?
to do. I think this is a learning curve for us also in terms of the medical practice. I think the government has to set the guidelines and policies, and it is the primary job of the government to provide medicine.
right.
It shouldn't be the the doctor's burden.
Damitha, now from what the government has done so far, some of your former ministers, SLPP former ministers, are facing, arrest, and some people have been already arrested. How concerned are you about, the allegations against SLPP has been always that it's a corrupt party. People, they basically kind of plundered the public money. Now it's increasingly becoming true that it has happened. How do you say about it?
Yeah. Now, has anyone been arrested for embezzlement, for private embezzlement? Who were connected?
It's all
to-
about misappropriation of public funds.
Well,
isn't it?
that is subjective, no? Now,
How do you say
if you take S.M. Chandrasena's case, I don't want to, comment on matters that are pending at court. But what is the charge? He has distributed corn seeds to farmers in Anuradhapura.
His political affiliates.
Well, how do you define a political affiliate? What are the proofs that you have? It's subjective. Shihar and Shamir, all what we can see is a big media circus, because the government is rapidly losing ground within their,
No,
6.8
right,
million that were, fooled to.
SM Chandrasena probably is still under investigation. Let's not talk about that. But Mahinda Nandalutame, for an example,
So
he's already been convicted for 20
even
years.
in that judgment, does it say that they personally, benefited or profited? Where are the thieves? Where are the people who stole billions of dollars according to them?
No, so are you?
Where
are
is the
you,
who
So are you
earned the
challenging
money?
the judiciary system?
No, I'm not challenging the judiciary system.
no, but are you trying to
They
say?
have to go and catch those particular thieves that they were talking about during the campaign. Not people. I mean, did they say during the campaign
No,
that
Damitha.
SM Chandrasena was
Damitha,
distributing corn seeds?
Damitha, the question is,
Yeah.
whose money are they utilizing for a benefit of a political campaign that they are part of?
Well, he has been
Is
accused.
that
no,
fair?
It's not.
Is
no,
that
it's not fair. It's not fair.
So
Maybe-
you're also of the
Maybe
opinion
he'll
that
be proved, innocent. Maybe he'll be, convicted. What I'm saying
now,
is,
for an example, take Keheli Ramukwella's
Shamir,
case.
if you let me finish,
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is, during the presidential and parliamentary election, what did they tell the public? One particular lady from Kalutara said, our money, billions of dollars have been embezzled to Uganda. So where is that money? Are they going after that? And Comrade President promised to bring Arjuna Mahendran within 24 hours. Now he is discontinuing, according to we had a program about that couple of months back. So what I'm saying is, yes, you have to eradicate corruption.
Let's talk about incidents.
Right.
Now take Keheli Ramukwella's case. Now this is a total crime. Even just to let's not look at the court proceedings or whatever it is. But when you hear what has gone wrong,
Shamir, if
that
somebody
itself-
has
that
tampered
itself
with
is a problem.
medicine that has brought to innocent people, my opinion is they should burn in hell, right? Even if they escape the judicial system, they should burn in hell.
So
it's
that has
such a
happened.
crime.
Right, so that has happened under whose watch?
Well, Shamir, nothing is proved as it. No, it's like the classic example you took, the discharge of these presidential pardons. Now, the government was saying that the President's Department has tampered with the President's official letter. Has that been produced to courts?
Damitha, I just want to ask you,
I'm asking-
Damitha, in Parliament, Keheli Ramukwella's went on to say, I don't know whether you remember this, he said with not an emotion on his face that there are funeral parlors next to hospitals
Shamir,
for a reason.
That's wrong. That's
What
wrong.
sort
That's-
of a statement is that, Damitha?
I don't agree with that. Neither does our party. No, that's wrong.
Now,
wrong.
Namal Rajapaksa is saying what happened to Shirani Bandaharnaike is wrong. That he's sorry that happened.
Yeah.
So
Even on cremation
At least we have the courtesy to say sorry.
And
so
then the
we
cremation
never had the
issue.
courtesy to say sorry
No,
for
but-
the insurgencies they
no, but the problem is, why are you not taking accountability of what happened in those times? At that instance,
Shamir,
Namal Rajapaksa
Sham-
was the president's son at that time.
Shamir,
There was power centered around only 70% of the budget was centered in the family only at that time.
Shamir Namal Rajapaksa is also an individual, no?
So
Now-
he can do whatever he wants
No,
to say.
no,
sorry.
no. What I'm saying is now
The
take this
indictments have been issued. on
Take
the
a
Krish case
take
and
a
all
company
that.
for example. If somebody does a malpractice within that company, is the chairman held accountable? I know whoever has done wrong, if somebody has embezzled money for their private gain, the public money, if they have made profits out of for personal use, yes, they should be held accountable. They should be charged. They should be convicted. I agree.
How concerned are you about Namal, your so-called the presidential candidate in 2029, is being investigated for Sri Lankan Airlines misappropriation, and then also the
Indictments
Krish.
have been served on Krish, on the Krish
No,
deal.
yet to be served.
No, indictments have been
indicted.
indicted around that.
So, So I mean, how concerned are you? Because when, if in case, if it is proven and if you get arrested, then that's kind of a huge fallback to the party, right?
Well, Shihar, first of all, it's a matter pending. If you take the Krish, legal suit, it's a matter pending at court. As far as my knowledge, it's a matter of, getting a sponsorship to develop rugby. But I don't want to comment further because it's a matter of pending at court. But I'll tell you my personal experience. I had the opportunity to serve under him.
That is what you see.
No.
What happened in Singapore is not been still looked at. You're saying only one
Shamir,
aspect of it.
Shamir,
Yeah.
I know the aspect which is in the public domain. I don't know any hidden, whatever knowledge you have.
The
I
court
have not.
The court
Right?
proceedings, we have knowledge.
I don't
As
know.
journalists, we go
Whatever
through
the indictment
You're
has
only
been served.
cherry picking on certain
No,
aspects only.
I'm talking about the general, charge of the indictment. Anyway, coming back to my personal experience under Minister Namal Rajapaksha, transparency was 100%, honesty was 100%. He never went out of the way to give any directions to promote any malpractice. So I'm very much 100% confident that Mr. Namal Rajapaksha will be proven innocent. And also, I'm 100% confident that the people have started realizing the NPP and their, farce and the lies that they directed at the SLPP. And definitely now the government is talking about anti-corruption. Now, when they, established all these councils, right, they went to the level to get the Galle Municipality Council to come to the NPP, bag. During the campaign, NPP Galle district leader Nalin Hewage was bashing Priyantha Sahabandhu, which was the former mayor of the Galle Municipality Council. Now, who is the NPP supported deputy mayor of Galle now? Is it two people, Priyantha and Sahabandhu? Priyantha Sahabandhu? No, it's the same Priyantha Sahabandhu. So when they want to, utilize for their own benefit, they have a machine where you put a hurrah from this end, it clears out, and a genuine sort of politicians come.
Lakmali, one of the...
No, but Lakmali, you can respond to what Damitha had to say before.
No, we have not cleaned any horas. He's a hora, he's a hora.
Priyantha Sahabandhu
That
is
will be,
not a
no,
hurrah anymore.
I am
Otherwise, he
responding
can't
to
be
that. I am
deputy
responding.
mayor.
If there are allegations against a person, if they are being investigated, I can assure you the NPP government is not going to interfere in that. Even if it's Priyantha Sahabandhu, even if it's me, even if it's a minister,
Even if it's Pilya,
even if it's, let's forget about SLPP members who have supported it. Even if it's an NPP high minister who has done it, we will not go and, clean them out. We don't
So
have
I just
any
want to ask you,
machinery
Lakmali,
for
now
that.
you're saying about the NPP. Now, the former speaker's degree, have you all been able to
No,
look at it?
I don't think so. I mean, not that we haven't been able to look at it. I think it's not. I think it was.
Angola.
I think it. Sorry.
Still on the way to Japan. As
I
far
mean,
as
I
my
don't know.
knowledge.
He has to deal
one
with
of
that.
the biggest disappointments of on the government is they said something and then they realize it hard that what they said was either they can't do or it's difficult, right? From Uganda money.
Uganda money, please. I want to explain that because this keeps because
let me. I mean, these are repeatedly told in the election campaign, right? I mean, didn't you all know that these things are very hard to do when you all come to power?
we are not saying. First of all, on the Uganda money, I want to clear this because Nilanthi Kottahachi is a female MP and we have only 22 female MPs in the parliament, and she has been continuously attacked on false grounds, and this has to be cleared. The Ugandan money story, this whatever it is, I don't know whether Mr. Rajapakshas have money in Uganda or not. I'm not saying they don't or they do. I don't know about it, right? But what I do know is this was a claim that was said several times by several former ministers.
In this
several,
particular
please
program,
let me explain.
Lakmali herself asked me whether
No.
I was aware any Rajapakshas had...
No, so I don't know. I don't know whether he
She
has...
herself asked in this particular...
Yeah, so exactly, I don't know. Whether you know or not, I don't know. Several former ministers, including former Minister Manusha Nanayakkara the SJB for former parliamentarian Hirunika Premachandra. There were many ministers and many MPs who made these claims about during the Aragale time, right? And all of a sudden, it's all Nilanthi Kottahachi's fault. I do not subscribe to that. We are just witch hunting against a woman, and that has to be stopped. It's unfair and it's really shameful that, no, seriously, right? And second of all, I want to respond to Damitha. Earlier, I wanted time on this because the claim that, there was a conspiracy against the Gotabaya Rajapaksa government, and then a certain conspiracy happened, and then the power was transferred to NPP is entirely bogus.
Why are you saying that President Donald Trump is lying?
I don't know. He's not my president. I mean, what I'm saying is that...
Good attitude.
No, I mean, he's not my president.
I was quoting whatever came out in the White House.
He did not say that Andhra Kumar Dissanayake was elected into government on US money. He did not say that. He said he declassified certain statements. No, because you made certain statements inferring that. I want to clear this. And please let me continue without,
I'll come back to that, don't worry.
Yeah, because the claim that we came into power through an election, a presidential election, and almost 80% of the people voted in that election. That was how we came into power. There was no US funding behind that election. It was a state-funded election, and we have been very transparent with our funding on the election campaign as well, right? Who did come into power after the Gotabaya Rajapaksa debacle was Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe. We do not claim him. We do not know how he got into power. He was definitely elected by the parliament at that time and supported by majority of the SLPP party members. So if there was a conspiracy, if there was a conspirator president, that's not our president, right? There is a conspirator president as you claim. That's not our president. And Mr. Namal Rajapaksa, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, all of them supported this conspirator president. So let's be very clear. People of this country elected a president through an election very legitimately, very validly, and we are not at the behest of any foreign power, any foreign president or any foreign, intelligence service to get us into power. That's not how we came into power. That has to be clear, right? Because your 120 MPs, as Shamir said, who voted him in. Well, I don't know why you did that, then you are the conspirators. And you refuse to, mention their names also, if there was a conspiracy. Mr. Donald Trump, what was declassified, I think, is that there was a certain US involvement in the Aragale, which I don't know.
You didn't still answer my question. Like one of the main disappointments.
I think.
Wait, one of the main disappointments on the government is like what NPP said before the election. Like, for instance, I can give you ample example. You will scrap the IMF.
I did not. We did not say that.
No.
We did not say that.
Or you will change the conditions, right? And then lot of promises about tax reduction, and when you come to power, then you realize you can't do that.
We have reduced tax in certain areas. We have reduced the income tax, right? We have reduced income tax. We have removed the VAT on certain goods, and we have not been able to reduce VAT on certain goods that we wanted to, which is
you
true.
all have applied VAT on, like on Netflix, for an example, is going to be taxed.
We didn't apply that VAT. We didn't apply that VAT. That's an 18% VAT that comes into operation through the taxes that were implemented earlier on. We did not, we didn't implement a fresh tax on it. It was just, it became operational throughout our regime. That was how it happened, right? So, and digital services tax, I think what you're talking about, we did implement that. And if you're making money, if you're doing a business, if you're making money, you have to pay taxes. Unfair taxation we are against, but we are not against taxation. I think everybody has to pay taxes.
Why can't that be a part of the income tax that individuals earn rather than a pay-as-you-earn tax?
I'm not following.
Now, the digital tax that you're talking about, it has to be paid this percentage, 18% has to be paid immediately. But why can't that be a tax that is imposed on individuals, or income tax after a year?
That I think is a good idea. I do think that turnover,
assets, and then accordingly they pay their taxes.
That's true. I think there are.
Why can't something like that be implemented?
I think there are certain areas in our tax system that has to be improved, and hopefully we will be improving.
For example, Lakmali, you're a lawyer as well.
No, yeah.
So lawyers
earn. Not taxed.
You tell me. You know how much of, I don't know whether lawyers pay tax or not, but how much of money lawyers earn, and
that's
most
true.
of the money are coming through under the table.
That's true. I mean, there are certain informal economic activity that has to be taken, and when we say informal, that doesn't necessarily mean it's small. Some of these are not just in the formal
So I
economy.
can tell you a classic example. There is a doctor in a private hospital who only takes cash for his appointments, and it is approximately 7,500 rupees per appointment, and he takes completely by cash. So easy
this
being
is
taxed.
why we believe that digitalizing and making the economy a bit cashless.
When you tell
Eventually.
you are going to pay at the counter, then he says,
Lakmali, now the US has announced, the President Trump has announced 30% tariff to Sri Lanka. I mean, you all went for negotiation.
It
with
has
them.
come down.
They have come down, but is it enough?
I mean, we have to, I don't know whether it's enough or not. We have to, do a consultation with the finance ministry and see
It was
whether it's enough or
44%
not.
before.
It was 44%.
Yeah, but my question is, Lakmali, I mean, how are you going to address, because now 30% means there could be some closures of, the garment factories, right?
It depends on how, because I believe Bangladesh was taxed, Bangladesh is our main competitor in the garment industry, and Vietnam. They were taxed at a much higher rate about 2 days ago. So it depends on how
less than this, I guess.
less than
And
this.
this
Less than
cost of production is
25
way
or
lower.
20.
20%.
I think Bangladesh was 36,
And the cost of
if
production
I'm not
is way
wrong.
lower.
If I'm not wrong. No,
No,
cost of production is...
so let's get to Barath now. Barath, I saw this government decision to investigate what happened to the cultural front between 2015 and 2020. Has there been any corruption? So what I did was I looked immediately as to who the minister was at that time. And do you know who it is? Who?
Cultural Minister.
Culture minister at that time is now, you know who he is.
Asking for the name.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sajid Premadasa.
Maybe, yes.
So I'm trying to figure out, shivers must be going down the spine of the SJB also now, no?
Mr. Amir,
Because a lot of people who have one side entry to the bribery commission, next time they end up in remand custody.
Yes. See, that is the system, justice system. We have to, appreciate and encourage that investigations done properly. Jamir, good that you brought this investigation part. This entire corruption narrative. Yes, as I mentioned in my opening remarks also, the uprise of our civil participation or uprise of youngsters through this Aragalaya, what they wanted is a clean country without corruption and proper system. Yes, corruption, as you are well aware, it is a kind of a result of a failure of improper policies. So yes, I agree for in certain extent the NPP's narrative, that is, the system had been a failure for past couple of decades. As a result, this corruption has groomed, and it was this impunity is preserved. So this system should be changed immediately. That is the entire narrative of the people during that Aragalaya, and continuously that is what people are aspiring for. But yes, the corruption is one end, but the economic prosperity on the other hand. We have to think about that also. So Sri Lanka need two kind of growth. One is an economic growth, and second is an social growth. But we all, even during up until now, we were talking about corruption and we were talking about economic, but we didn't talk about the social coherence or social building of our country. When you go into the root cause of our country's this economic crisis or corruption, whatever it is, the disharmony among the communities and the system which oppress. Now, for an example, if you take my community, the upcountry Indian origin Tamil community, Malay community, the system has been oppressed us for past 76 years, where we have lost our economic independence. Most of the time, our issues.
I just want to correct something very quickly. Lakmali, you're right, 35% tax on Bangladesh products.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Okay. When you look into our history, whatever the issues faced by our ethnic community is, fully, with a veil, it is only covered on the labor issues. So, the workers are in all communities. When you take from northern community to southern communities, there are a lot of workers. But we are 1.5 million ethnic community who are living in Sri Lanka. Our economic independence was oppressed by the system. So what the people urged, even our community urged, during in the presidential election, in the parliamentary election, even now in the local government election, a group of, I think, not the majority, but some extent of our people even supported NPP, where they still believe that NPP will do a system change. This is what, as an opposition also, we wanted the government to do so. But unfortunately, this anti-corruption narrative has preceded everything, and diminishing the most important elements, the social growth and economic growth, into a secondary channel. So what as a responsible opposition party we would urge, we don't want to, as a Tamil Progressive Alliance or Democratic People's Front, even our party leader, who is a very close friend of the President Andrew Kumar Dissanayake, during they were in the opposition, they initiated a lot of progressive policies. Not only, it is nothing new in 2015 to 2020, 2019, they initiated this good governance methodology, and in 2020
No, but
to
Barath,
2022.
but seems like you're trying to point the finger at some party. Are you trying to say that there are Tamil parties in the upcountry that are not looking at the wishes of the Tamil speaking population in that?
No, I am not fingering at anyone, Shamir. I am just telling the reality. It's not about.
Because you were part of the CWC at one time. Now the CWC has joined hands with the NPP in certain councils. Are you saying that the CWC is wrong?
No, I am not saying any party is wrong. I am telling the system is wrong. So the system.
So not Jeevan or Sendil, they are not.
No, they have their own,
But are they part of the opposition now?
I don't know. You have to ask their party people. Which
but they are not in the. They are in the government.
No, they're not.
But with this,
I don't know.
They created certain councils. They created
In the
certain
local
councils.
government councils, some of their members have supported us, but they're not in the government.
But I don't know who is in the government. Our party is the original opposition now. We are not with ITEC, SLMC, the Democratic People Party. We didn't join any government organized parties. But having said that, let me finish quickly. What I want, what the young generation aspiring from the government and from this country, yes, we do. We have economic realities. We have to pay debts in 2028. The IMF, when Ms. Geeta Gopinath, the IMF chief, came to Sri Lanka, she also emphasized on this, homemade, homegrown economy. It should be emphasized, and also, economic actors like World Bank, ADB. They wanted to, more support our economic system. Every time, I don't think, when we were in the desperate need in 2022, India is the only country came forward with $4 billion to support our economy. We can't, and in another 2-3 years, if we face an economic crisis, we can't, again go and ask from Prime Minister Modi or the Indian government to come and support us. So before that, we have learnt a lesson. We have where we've gone wrong. So we understand the social issue and the economic issue, try to, put the efficiency in first place. And rather just pointing out, I do respect high respect for President Andrew Kumar Dissanayake, but whenever he goes into Easter issue or economic forum or social issue or any issues, he only highlights on the corruption matter. Yes, corruption is a problem. All knows that. What is the solution? So how the new constitution is going to come in? So how all the Tamil community, Muslim community, Sinhalese community, everyone going to coexist in this nation building? This is what we are expecting from the government to focus more, because in the 5 years, 10 months means 11 months means it's 18% of the rate has gone, like nearly 20%. So it is not too late, but it should start immediately. That is what our opinion is.
Thanuka, your party gave leadership during the Aragale, right? And you had sets of, you had a vision in terms of social and economic policies. Where did things go wrong, and what would you like to change from the current policies?
Actually, initially at the Aragale, there were several policies we proposed, and even the people who were now in the government and who were in the Aragale also agreed for them. We proposed to eradicate the corruption, and we proposed several constitutional amendments, including repealing the executive presidency, and we wanted to repeal the PTA, and we want to have a new constitution which the people's power is recognized, and we want to introduce certain new constitutional principles to recalling, and where the people can directly make laws, and those were agreed in the goal-face screen and during the Aragale, and some of the people who are now in the government also agreed to, but none of these are now even not in the discourse within the government. And now at the Aragale we all agreed to abolish PTA. Now the government is seeking to bring new laws. But today maybe one young man who was arrested 9 months before.
Mohammed Zuhair.
Yes. Now he was released, informed to court that there is nothing.
He's innocent.
Yes, he is innocent.
But still he is under custody, right?
Yes, under custody means under observation. Now, for 9 months, who is going to be responsible for that? Now, after the new president was appointed, under his signature, how many DOs were issued on the innocent people? Now, they agreed to abolish, but now they continue to keep it.
So, Thanuka, People's Struggle Alliance, who's the General Secretary and the party leader?
Sorry?
Who's the General Secretary and the party leader of the People's Struggle Alliance?
People's Struggle Alliance, there is an executive committee, there are several, there is a national executive committee, there are several members.
There is no leader?
Yes. It means there are several 3 parties and there are several independent people who are in the alliance. So there is a national...
Who decides when decisions have to be taken?
National Executive Committee. There are several members in the committee. I am also in the committee.
So there is no leader who takes decisions with the party?
Leader means the executive committee takes the decision.
And there is no person,
no independent person.
No independent person. Can you tell me these 3 parties who are the leaders?
I'm sorry, in People's Struggle Alliance?
No. You said there are 3 parties, right?
Yes.
So who are the Frontline Socialist Party is one?
And one Upcountry Tamil Party.
Upcountry Tamil Party, okay.
And there's another party. And actually I can't remember the
Okay,
parties.
that's okay. No, you don't have to worry.
Yes.
But who's the leader of the Frontline Socialist Party?
Even in the said party, our party, the political bureau take decisions.
This is like a soup, no?
No, not the soup.
Yeah, but so there is no party, there is no leader in these parties.
Leader mean the party political bureau take decisions.
No, okay, right. I understand what you're saying, but I'm now you said People's Struggle Alliance don't have a leadership. It's an
no. There's a leadership. The National Executive
Council is a leadership.
Yes.
Okay, so there is no party leader.
That means no independent person.
Right. There has to be General Secretary now.
Yes.
Who's General Secretary?
I can't recollect the name. He's not from our party. He represents the other one other party who is in the alliance.
The Thanuka, now you're part of the People's Struggle Alliance.
Yes.
If you don't know who the General Secretary is, how would the media, how would we know? Or the public
I'll
know?
let you know.
Okay, I'll give you a few minutes to
Yes.
get your thoughts and get me an answer. Lakmali, now, are there any ministers of the previous government who are getting any benefits from the current system? Because fingers have been pointed at the previous regime for making money. Has there anyone making money now with your government in place?
I mean, there can possibly be, because, to be honest, because certain deals are done and the cash inflows will continue, right? I mean, we have to investigate, and I don't want to say this minister and that minister, because we have not done investigations and we don't have concrete, names to put out. But I'm not denying the possibility that there can be ministers who are still getting,
is that why that the petroleum prices are not coming down?
No, that's not. I mean, the reason that the petroleum prices are not, they sometimes come down and they sometimes go up,
No,
because
but
there is a formula.
right now, it was $73 before the war. Now it has come down to $7.
Yeah.
But the prices still remain high in Sri Lanka.
Because the petroleum prices are decided on the previous month's expenditure, right? So it might be because the previous month's expenditure was higher and the cost was higher. So this month's expenditure, this month's price will be higher, and it is decided on the formula. We don't really think the formula, there might be problems with the formula. We have to see whether the CPC wants to change the formula. And
But there is a formula, right?
there is a formula. There is a pricing formula, and
No one has seen this formula after your government came into power.
even I have not seen the formula. I haven't really, put my mind into the formula and how it works and so on. But I mean,
Because the only time we saw this formula was when Mangala
I
Samarivira
don't think that was the formula.
came and said there was a particular formula.
I don't know. You are talking about the board that he was.
No.
There was a particular formula that was.
No, it was,
Uday Kampila.
No.
Was it?
The former energy minister, Kanchana.
We have not changed the formula.
You have not changed the
We have
formula?
not changed the formula. We have not changed the formula.
No, I mean, he basically, he tweeted, every time there was
an energy increase.
or reduce.
This was done by this particular system. So
Yeah.
that formula is in place.
Yes, that formula is in place. We haven't changed the formula. I mean, I stand to be corrected because I don't know the inner dealings of the CPC. It might have changed. I mean, I can look into it. As far as I know, there hasn't been any change in the pricing formula.
Lakmali, now you went to China as the part of a delegation, right? Parliamentary group. And before that, there was a delegation to India, right?
Yeah. That was also parliamentary delegation.
Yeah, led by Deputy Speaker. And there's another group, the political leaders going to India, I think next week. Who are paying for these trips?
Parliament, of course. If it's a parliamentary delegation, it's paid by the parliament.
Not by those countries.
No. I mean, there might be certain sponsorships involved because these are knowledge sharing and technology transfer workshops and so on.
I mean, did the government ask from these countries to, give you all some exposure?
Yes, in terms of China, we have requested assistance on, policies and how to, because China is I think one of the most developed countries in the world, and they have the most sophisticated technology in terms of, maybe there are countries which has better technology, but China is definitely a country that uses technology for people's benefit, and that is something that we really want to learn, people-oriented governance and how to use technology and make it more peopleized, which they have really done really well. So we want to know how to do that, because we believe that the process, from Mao Zedong to Deng Xiaoping to now, what is happening now in China. I think China is one country which has shown real flexibility in policy making, and also adaptive qualities, and also being very principled on where they say. And when Shamir said, this is something that I keep on saying, even when we went to China, one thing that they say is they are a socialist country with Chinese characteristics. So when you say, who are these countries who have made progress, I think China would say they are a country who have made progress on socialist policies. Maybe the understanding of implementation of socialism is different from certain other countries, and even Cuba faces certain external challenges which we do not face at the moment. So each country has their own different situations.
Yeah, but when you look at the scale of the economies,
It's different.
It's very different.
It's different. It's different, but
Can
it's
we
also
survive like that is a big now
But it's
example
also because
on
they
this
have-
US tariff war. Definitely China came on top.
Yeah, because they are
even
they are
bigger than the
prepared
US.
for that.
Yeah, they're
they
even
have
bigger
been
than the
prepared
US.
for that for a really long time. I think they have been since 2016 when they first had to face this. I think they have been prepared very well for this situation. That is why they are taking on the US unilateral policy making, and I think they have come through. And I think if you look at we have reduced our tariffs from 44% to 30%, which is a good thing. But then when you look at the tariffs that the President Trump has been imposing for the past few days, what you can see is that
If you look at Bangladesh, they have brought it down only from 37% to 35%.
35%, right? And even for us, when you look at the tariffs, what you can see is that they haven't really, changed their policy on how they impose their policy. We have negotiated and we have been able to bring it down to even
Significantly.
Bangladesh, I think, but their policy hasn't changed. So this is something that we have to really face, that they're going into a phase of protectionism. They're going into a phase of unilateral decision making, removing themselves from the international system. And we have to find our own allies in the system now, right? And maybe the overexposure to the Western markets, we need the market, but we also have to now diversify from the market. And I keep saying this, we should have done it in 2020 when we faced COVID. That is when we really knew how supply chain disruptions can harm us.
Yeah, you said when you were in China, there were discussion about investments and cooperation.
Yeah.
What's happening with
not investments? It was this ambassador of Sri Lanka to China who shared that there will be investments forthcoming this year as well, because there were agreements, there were pledges made during President Andrew Kumar.
So what's happening with the Sinopec and the logistic city inside the port city?
Logistic city?
Yeah.
There's the Sinopec is a refinery.
Refinery. Yeah, it's
in
a refinery,
Hambantota,
and
yeah.
also there had been some discussion about this.
You mean the financial city in Port City?
Financial city.
Yeah, so about the financial city, I don't know. Port City Commission is functioning right now and they are trying to attract investments, and I think there were several investments also during the first half of the country which came into, not major investments, but still there were certain investments made. And about Sinopec, I think we are ironing out certain, our government wants to bring the best to the country, and there are certain, agreements that we have to, not that we are removing ourselves from the investment, that investment is still going ahead, but we do want to make sure that we are getting the best of it, and it has to be the most beneficial.
So, but Damitha, I saw Namal Rajapaksa saying that one day when you all come into power, you all are going to even investigate the Sri Lankan Airlines flight flying over Colombo. That also would be in your list of investigations. These are all very
before coming
trivial,
into that,
trivial
I think
matters.
I have the right to reply to Lakmali.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So any intelligent observer who observed my initial statement, what I said was there have been allegations coming out of the White House that they have, through a US agency, regime change has been sponsored in 3 countries, if I remember right, and Sri Lanka was one, right? So what I clearly said was, in a future Namal Rajapaksa administration, we are going to appoint a presidential commission to investigate that. And I also gave my observations on the Aragalaya and how the Aragalaya worked, right? So all of a sudden Lakmali gets agitated and aggressively says that, of course, if some sort of conspiracy like that happened, her party or her party leader never, had no involvement, right? That's very good. So our national organizer, Mr. Namal Rajapaksa, in Parliament has requested the Speaker to appoint a select committee just to look into that matter, and it was the same stance that we took when the US ambassador also visited our party headquarters. So I think I propose Lakmali to go ahead and take Namal Rajapaksa's proposal forward, as they have nothing, to do with whatever conspiracy happened, because she pinned it down specifically on Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe. That's
No,
one
I
thing.
did not say that. I think if there was a conspirator, it has to be the one who benefited.
in a civilized manner. Second thing is she was trying to portray me as a sexist, pointing out the Uganda matter and Nilanthi Kottachi.
I was
No, no, no.
Why I mentioned
Damitha, I don't think.
no. Shami, let me finish.
say
Why I mentioned Nilanthi Kottachi was for the simple reason she was the only politician who was to come up with this allegation and correct herself after the elections. What did
No,
she
but
say?
let's
She
not go
said
to
she
that,
consciously made a false statement. So when you avabodhen boru so
She did not say that. She did not
I
say
have the
that. You
video
have
clip.
said
Okay,
that.
you can say whatever
You
you want.
have
Don't
said
disturb.
that.
Please
No,
don't
so
disturb.
for us to understand now, just tell us.
I was quoting
these
Lakmali's words.
Yeah, but investigations that are supposed to
Yeah.
happen, you all said that even the Sri Lankan Airlines
Of
flight.
course we will.
Yeah.
The counting of monkeys spending 70 million, what is the outcome? Now salt is imported at 32 rupees. With taxes and the government, margin, it's been given to the private sector at 70 something. And the MRP is 180 rupees. Who's profiting out of that? Who's profiting out of that?
So, Damitha, I want to take your attention to
we
one
will
of the
look
statements.
into all those matters.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
one of the statements that was made by Bimal Ratnaik today in Parliament, he said what happened in 2019 on the 21st of April is not an incident that took place haphazardly. It was very well planned out. And he said something very interesting. He said this is because there was a political party who wanted to gain power, and they took so much of years since 2015 to create this kind of a plot. Who is Bimal Ratnaik pointing the finger at?
Well, where did he make that statement? In the
Parliament.
chambers, no?
In the Parliament.
I mean, he should come out in public and, in a press conference or something, clearly.
He's the leader of the house. He speaks in the parliament.
So, if he's that confident,
press
why can't he
conference
say the
and
same thing
what
in a
do you
press
think?
conference? Huh?
Damitha,
You don't have to hide behind the parliament
leader of the
privileges.
house.
Damitha,
So, what is the party he mentioned?
He didn't mention a
All
party.
right, okay.
But he said that
Right.
if you all are expecting to come back to power again,
Right.
think again.
Right.
Dream on. That's what
Okay.
he said.
Right. So
So I don't know who he is referring to.
even I don't know. You should ask him.
No, but was there a plot?
Because as far as the what do you call
No, because just the way that you're trying to say that there was some kind of hand to topple the government in 2022. Someone who's watching the show might say, hypothetically, there was a plot even in 2019 to elect Gotabaya
for that
Rajapaksa as
particular
the
person, Shamir,
president.
my reply would be the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the USA, a particular investigative officer, has given an affidavit to the court of Supreme Court or High Court in California, if I remember right, mentioning that Shahram Hasim and the team were the masterminds behind the East attacks. That's one. And this particular Mahamulakaru or mastermind issue has been raising continuously from the government. April 21st, Comrade President was about to reveal the mastermind behind the East attacks, but nothing came out. And today, although he is the leader of the house, you don't have to be, if you are confident and if you know the facts, you don't have to be cowardly, hiding behind parliament privileges and,
This is a debate
try
by the
to sling mud at the opposition.
Debate
Honorable
by the opposition.
Bimal Ratnaik can come out in the public
Why would
and,
he do that? It's a
say
German debate.
whatever he knows, right? So if he knows that a political party benefited out of this attack, if he knows better than the Federal Bureau of Investigation, if he knows better than whatever investigations that the local authorities have conducted, I think he should, rather than hiding behind parliamentary privileges, he should go and, complain to the relevant authorities to, take the matter forward, and whatever particular party that was involved, whoever is responsible should be arrested. But I can confidently say, SLPP, we have never benefited through conspiracies. We have only gained power through the people's mandate, because we don't need such conspiracy. the election before the presidential election, which was the local government election, we resoundingly won the election by, forming about 260 councils on our own. Unlike the current government, which is going to bed with, all the political parties, which they themselves, portrayed as, the accomplice to the 76 years curse.
Yeah, but to be very honest on this, this issue is being raised by a lot of SLP members who come here from a 6.9 million voter base to come down to 200. It's a dekai panaha.
Well, we are proud about that because we were attacked by malicious lies. No, that one by one is getting revealed, and we have come back to 1 million.
But
when the government is getting cut to size by 2.3 million.
But looking at the people who are going behind bars.
No, Shamir, we are very confident because those charges are not the billions of dollars they protect to being embezzled.
There are people who have taken more money.
I don't know. Ask them. Ask them.
I want to say
where the billions are.
I think it's really unfortunate that political power, public power, is a public property. It's not something that you own. It's not something that you are privileged with. It's a public purpose function, right?
I think, Lakmali, you all also have to understand that in the event you all don't perform, it's
Of
going
course.
to be the.
No, I mean, I'm 100%.
that
You can't hold the monkeys accountable.
When you say that Mr. Mahindananda Lutgamage, when he says that Mr. Mahindananda Lutgamage has not taken anything out of the people, he has taken public power
What
out
I'm
of
saying
people.
is judgment. Are you refuting that? Are you refuting the judgment?
So I'm agreeing with the judgment. This is what the judgment says, that it's public power and he has misused it.
Barath, I just want to understand now, in this equation, what is Sajith Premadasa's role as the lead of the, because I don't see the chief opposition whip doing anything, so Sajith Premadasa, what is he doing? Can he collectively hold the people together now? If Jeevan's party, CWC, is voting with the NPP to create certain councils, what does it show about the inability of your leader?
Mr. Shamir, to answer your first question, see, the opposition political culture, unlike previous years, we don't go protesting for every single thing. So now if there is a 18% VAT imposed for specially targeting youths, entrepreneurs and digital creators, we don't gather university students and tomorrow do a protest. Similarly, when the electricity hike was up and the fuel prices were up, we didn't do a protest. When you observe opposition leader, when the 18% VAT raise, as Honorable Parliamentarian pointed out, we are not saying we are no to tax. Yes, everyone should pay tax because the country's revenue based on tax. But you should give a proper working plan for the people to understand how this system works. But without arbitrarily tomorrow, if you say there is
This is not a...
No, let me finish.
No, I mean,
yes.
we haven't implemented, if you're talking about the AliExpress and the Temu situation, it's not a new tax that we have
I'm not saying...
It's the customs that has changed
whether it is a new or existing one, you are the change makers.
No, it's the customs. So this we have to understand. This is a...
Custom is not a private entity.
Can I just...
MP.
If you can give me 30 seconds, I can...
1 minute MP. Like customs or any authority is not a private entity.
No, so that's what...
It is your government.
Can you give me 1 minute?
Yes,
because there's a huge misunderstanding about how this has come about. These online platforms, e-commerce platforms, people were bringing these, goods for the last 10 years without getting any duty or any taxation, because the customs has not really implemented the policy for the past 10 years, since 2015 to be precise, right? And now they have for some reason adjusted that. They are detecting huge frauds in e-commerce platforms, that there are tax evasions and frauds or whatever. For whatever reason, they have started to implement the policy of collecting taxation on these parcels that are coming through e-commerce platforms. We have not implemented any new tax on AliExpress or Temu or all these platforms. This is just the customs imposing a policy which was not implemented for the last decade. For some reason this is an internal reason that they have detected, and they are trying to
Bharat's point is,
smoothen up.
Lakmali-
I do agree with him on this though, that this should have been smoother. This should have been communicated properly to the the consumers especially, and I believe
That's what he's saying.
I do think that the e-commerce platforms are used much more commonly now, and for various reasons also. So we should basically. I do agree that customs should have been more communicative.
Yeah, so the thing is, Lakmali Baba, I think what Bharat is trying to say is,
We
let's
haven't
take
changed the
someone,
policy.
but let's take someone who does not have access to go overseas to buy something. They might be using it for their own personal
I hope
gain.
it gets better. I really do hope that this.
When something of this sort happens, that price goes up. Yeah.
So,
I do agree.
I really
There's a
appreciate
certain
that
unfair
you agree
treatment
on
Yeah, yeah.
our.
No, I agree.
That is what the Bharat is
So
trying to say.
I-
But it's not a policy change made by it's just they are
I'm not-
implementing a policy that for some reason they have not implemented for the past decade. No, it's not has nothing to do with IMF. This has
story
nothing to
behind
do with IMF.
No, the IMF has very clearly said the
Revenue targets.
leakages have to stop.
Probably,
Yeah,
probably,
so
but
as a result of that only all these things
this
are
has
being
nothing to do.
implemented.
There's no specific IMF commitment on taxing e-commerce or whatever.
No,
This
they
is-
have not
They
said
have only
that.
given guidelines.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is probably
as
because
the
they're trying to make it
sectorial chair
better.
on economic
Yeah,
level,
but
you should know
Maybe,
that.
like, I really appreciate that you acknowledge the fact, and also what I'm saying, yes, tax should be there, but the thing is, when since Shamir also pointed out what is opposition leader's role, like, we also suggest the government, okay, there are some alternative ways you can think about as
we are
policy.
definitely thinking about it. Yeah.
As a policy maker, as a government, it is your responsibility, and as policy entrepreneurs, it is our responsibility to suggest something where you can work amicably.
No, I agree
That is
on
one.
that.
And secondly, Shamil, to answer,
I like your two words that you use now. Political entrepreneurs.
policy entrepreneurs.
He is a political entrepreneur.
So those are
They're trying to make money somewhere.
accepted terms.
Yes, Bharat. Yeah. Light note, huh? Don't take me seriously. I'm like political entrepreneurs. When you say, usually entrepreneurs are individuals who make money, no. So when you say political entrepreneurs,
I refer to policy entrepreneurs.
Policy.
Yeah, okay, right. Tell me. Yes.
Political entrepreneurs are different.
They are on your right or left?
No, they're not here.
They are not here.
No, we can't say who is entrepreneur nowadays.
No, but
all are entrepreneurs.
no political party is in that game anymore, right? Now, on your
They
right,
should ensure that.
you have on your right,
Government
you
should
have
ensure that. Yeah,
on your right you have the NPP, on the left you have the SLPP. You can safely say that.
yeah, exactly. So because it is the responsibility
It's
of
our
the government
responsibility
is
to make sure there's no political entrepreneurship.
Oh, exactly.
Right. Tell me, yes, sir.
So and secondly, so now I forgot the question.
No, I was asking you about the role of the opposition. And, if Jeevan Thondaman can't hold on to, like, the opposition leader can't unite the opposition with a common cause, what's the point in the opposition leader even trying to, dominate
Yes.
that position?
Yeah, Shamir, like, especially on this local government election, when I would like to recall when our party leader Mano Ganeshan and then opposition MP, now President Andrew Kumar Dissanayake, strongly disagreed with this local government system, because this is a system failure, wherein which even though NPP won majority in elections, but they can't form the government without the support those who criticized, as you correctly pointed out, because this system is so much complicated, even a layman can't understand how this is going to work. This is what we urge the government, okay, change this. Even though there is a court directive is there, as policymakers and with the two-thirds majority, they should have, have taken proper cautious action on this. Failing which, they have to, they have even in Madhavachi, they have got supported from SLPP. In upcountry, yes, obviously CWC and TP also supported. Badikolo, Karuna
None of these parties, SLPP definitely did not support us. Maybe individuals.
I'm not saying it's individuals or parties. The support has been given. No,
But Lakmali, how it works is if
They have a machine
Yes.
where you put a
No,
hurrah and
SLPP for sure did not support us.
no,
Priyanta
Lakmali.
Sahabandhu did.
No, Lakmali,
Who was publicly
usually,
accused of
what
being a
happens
rogue by
is the
Nalini
party can
Nirage.
suspend their membership,
Yeah.
and as a result of that, they won't remain or continue
as
as,
members of the
council
council.
anymore.
so
Yeah.
So there is a
but-
mechanism in Sri Lanka already that is in place due to due process. Yeah.
So what I really
So ultimately, it's a political party who supports the ruling party. It's not individuals.
So
you can't
otherwise-
say that.
No, please. Sir,
No, you can't say that.
no,
Lakmali.
no, because
No,
local
I
government,
wish-
See,
while
see,
I
I wish we can agree
Like-
with you,
while
but
I
we can't.
no, local
like, see,
government.
now
local
there is in
government,
Colombo, your president met some independent parties, not independent individuals.
independent
no.
individuals and groups.
Yes, so they are also a
Not
group-
SLPP is what I'm saying.
No, I don't. I
No,
don't
if that
know.
is the case, there would have been a open vote in Colombo also, no?
Yeah.
No, there was a closed vote, no,
Yeah.
Lakmali. So
Which
that
was agreed by both
yeah,
parties.
but that is because if you have voted now they are saying that the STB members also voted for
I
the
don't know that.
no
We don't know that. I mean, it's a
grapevine
closed
grapevine
vote. We don't want to,
we don't know, but
Yeah.
through the grapevine they are saying. But I'm just trying to tell you because if they are named saying that they are supporting, the parties in question can take disciplinary action against them.
Yeah,
As a result of that, they lose the party membership.
Exactly.
When they lose the party membership, they lose their council seat as well, automatically.
True, that's true. But the
So,
local government.
so anyone who is supporting has to support as a party, not as individuals.
You can't do that.
Anybody who votes for the mayor votes as a member of the local government council.
Yeah, representative of the
There
party.
are no parties in the local. This
Then
is
why
what I
do you
kept
gazette
on. There are
names?
no
Why do you-
local in a local
just
government
walk in
council.
and
You
vote.
have members of the council who elect the mayor. It is their right to elect whoever the mayor they want to elect, right? So this idea that there is an opposition and the government in the council is this is why I kept. I mean, I have been to these programs and I. Every time when this question was raised about local government.
So
elections,
why do you think these parties cancelled membership of these individuals then?
Because they are legally entitled to do that.
So as a result of that, what happens subsequently?
I'm not sure.
They lose their party membership. When
Yeah.
they lose their party
They-
membership,
What happened to Harin?
Harin Fudana, Manusha
That's
Nanaikar
true,
as
but
well.
see, local government, unlike in the parliament where you have an opposition and a government,
Talaguya phrase.
you know. See, this is. I mean,
That's the bottom line,
I don't
right?
agree with Barath on this. I don't think our local government. I mean, yes,
No,
it is disadvantageous.
See,
You have to agree with the law of
we
the land.
can't-
No, it's
we
not
can't
like it or
bring
not.
the donkey and call it as a horse.
No, no. Let me.
See,
Can I? Just,
now, MP.
you don't even know what I'm not agreeing on.
No, you are saying
you don't.
the individual is not a party.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is.
Yes. So no,
I don't
that-
agree that our local government system is entirely, a really bad system that doesn't allow one party to dominate. Because local governments are not supposed to be dominated by one party. This is what I believe. Local governments are community organizations. They are very local. They are not taking decisions on
So
foreign
you
policy or
are
finance.
not saying that the victory your party gained in local government is not for party or for individual only. They are.
No. What I'm saying is, it's okay that local government
See,
are
that's
multi
it.
diverse.
If it
I mean,
comes
what is
to
wrong
us,
with
you
that?
are saying it is an issue
No,
for us.
I mean,
If
what
it comes to you,
no,
you are saying
no, Bharat,
only
what I'm
okay for
saying,
NPP.
what
It
I'm
is not
saying,
unacceptable.
no, what I'm
Party
saying
is
is, what I'm
acceptable.
saying
System
is,
there.
what is wrong
I
with the
with
local government?
all due respect
No,
to you,
Lakmali, what happens is...
Isn't it more
there is-
democratic to
no,
have,
no, Lakmali, what
several
hap-
parties in the local
So
government
so,
level?
okay,
I think it's good.
that-
What
that's
is
okay.
wrong with
No,
that?
but my-
You pointed out joining hands with SLPP or any other party is not your cause. You are not concerned about it. You don't recognize it. So what we are saying, any person who supported from our party, like any party per se, independent party or political party, they are the party members who are supporting your mayor or you are supporting our
Automatically
mayor or
they
anything.
get
I
ordained.
mean, I do
So-
not
so,
agree with
No,
that
if
conception
you
of
are
local
so
governments.
No, what
rigid
happens
on
is, Lakmali,
Which is why
accepting
I-
that
which is
fact.
why I
Lakmali,
kept
what
on
happens
saying-
is when the budget of the local councils come into play, if the budget is lost 3 times,
Yeah.
then the opposition can
No, they can
request
elect
for
a new mayor.
New mayor.
That's true. Or
then
new president or new
yeah,
chairman.
Yeah. So If that is the case, why is it that
No, but Shamil,
there is
would
no
you
two
agree-
parties?
do
No,
you
when it
agree
comes
that-
to work, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's-
But when it comes to appointing a mayor, passing a budget, there are divisions that come
Exactly.
into
I'm
play.
sure there are practical divisions within. I'm not saying that these are not party. I'm not saying these are not party bodies. These are, of course, NPP has their members, SJB has their members, SLPP has their members. For
Now
sure.
we can see when
For
the
sure.
budget comes
Now
of
we
the
have-
local council
you have by
for
members.
Colombo as to who voted in favor and who voted against.
For sure, for sure.
That will
But
come
what
into
I'm
play.
trying to say
It
is,
just takes a matter of
when
a few
Barath
months.
says that local governments need to be dominated by one party, I mean, for all practical, it would have been really
No,
better.
Lakmali, what Barath's point is, it's not the individuals who support.
Exactly.
It's the party
Party.
who supports.
That's not the
Ultimately,
reality of
all
it.
the-
Individuals who
you
support.
can't agree on that. That is.
So why is the party?
that's
Why
your
is
lack
the
of
party
knowledge.
taking away the membership of individuals who support if it's the party that supports?
Because it's a party.
It's a party's
Party-
protocol.
That
No,
particular
party,
person
party's
gets into
general
the council
secretary
as
signs
the
individual
and-
who
member of
supports.
that particular
See,
party.
see.
People voted for that particular
Which
party.
means it is the individual who supports, right? Eventually, in reality,
Whoever
it is the
voted for
individual who
SLPP
I
supports.
really
voted for
can't-
SLPP. That
No, no,
particular
so let-
member got
yeah.
Put it in the
elected
language
on
where
that
you
ticket, that
understand.
Yeah,
agenda.
but based on the
whoever wants a ward, you are well aware. You are a lawyer and you are an MP.
I don't think.
See,
She's aware about this.
No.
She's a lawyer.
We should not sling mud at anyone because
No, I'm-
it's a respectable
yes.
forum.
So
But,
MP,
just
like
Damitha, I
one,
just,
and,
I hope
say
you
for an
understand this,
example,
yeah.
in the ward of in my constituency, if a member who contested in Sajaba, who won in Kalaboka ward, his name will be gazetted once the
True,
party
true. I'm
general
not saying-
secretary sign and send it to the election commission.
agree, I agree.
So that is a member of a party who is going to support. The
That's
NPP
true. It is
mainly.
a member of your party,
Exactly.
but not your party. That's what I'm saying. Member of the party. Yes, I agree.
People who
See,
have
but
voted
how
for that
do
party,
parties-
but not
See,
for
see,
that
MP,
person.
let's
I
come
don't
to
know.
No, I mean-
you
Explanations can
represent.
go
You
on
are
forever.
here.
Just-
Let me.
During the campaign.
You are here representing your party
Yeah.
as an individual.
Yeah, if I agree with you on something
Yes.
here, that doesn't mean necessarily that my whole party agrees with it.
So, but
if
you are
I'm saying something that I
but
agree
you are
with you,
representing here as your party
Yeah,
member.
sure,
So
yeah.
this is the same thing applies there also.
no, can I be very precise on this?
Lakmali,
What I'm trying,
Lakmali, Barath, Damitha, let me clear the air. So what happens is, in a political party, it's not the individuals who support a particular local council. The party has to give the nod.
No, that's
Or
not how it works.
Individuals can support.
That's
but what
not how it
happens,
works.
No, but what happens ultimately, Lakmali, if the party decides to suspend the membership of those individuals risk holding that council position.
yes, that's
So
true.
ultimately, it's a party decision.
No, see, if the party decision to support is made at the leadership level of the party, which means like SJB and SLPP and UNP who had agreements to support each other during local government elections, those were party decisions. NPP did not have any party decision or any party agreement with these political parties.
But you know that these individuals may risk holding the post.
I'm aware. I am aware of that.
Then it becomes a party decision.
It's not a party decision, it's a party decision to expel
let
them.
let the people
it's
decide.
a party
I don't-
decision to
I-
expel
Bharat,
them.
Yes.
I want to ask this question now. The upcountry plantation workers, they've been continuously struggling on this the wage hike, right? They've been doing protest throughout last few years. What's the latest update on that?
This is like now, as I told you in my opening statement also, our ethnic problem is limited to plantation workers. Since you mentioned up our plantation workers problem, as our party is not for any figures like to increase this much of number of wages, because the wage model, this regimental model, I have emphasized in this earlier programs also, it has become a failure to sustain the industry. Yes, in 200 years back, our community came to this country to uplift the economy in coffee and tea trade. Then later, merchants and business people came here and they settled down. Now we are nearly 1.5 million population. This now the worker population, yes, earlier it was like 500,000. Now it has shrunk nearly 80,000 registered workers. But the only way to sustain this industry is by making a partnership model where the entire all stakeholders, the employer, employee, the consumer, everyone comes as a partner to revive and rebuild this industry. Yes, we are sure that we can, sustain this industry. If not, if we go on to this same wage model, I observed that President during Rajya Sabha election time in Nuvarli, he made some points like, he is going to introduce some revenue models. This is a model which is implemented by a specific company, which gain a monetary value to the person, but it is not a job guarantee. So it is a clear violation of ILO regulation and our labor laws. So here what we propose to the government also, and we are preparing a document to submit to the government and to the ILO, there should be now how tea smallholders, nearly 75% of the production contributors are tea smallholders, how they are flourishing and contributing and sustaining this industry. The plantation industry in the regional plantation company employees also should be partners of this. Then they will, I am not asking for land ownership of the land, but what I am asking, a contributionary partnership where they can mutually benefit. Otherwise, we will be discussing 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 salary. Sometimes one company can pay, another company can't pay. But the people will face the same discriminations and difficult economic hardships, and this will lead the dependency model which was crushing them as a community as a whole. So
Barath, I just want to understand. Now you say about this model that you're talking about.
Yes.
Let's say like the war that happened between Israel and Iran.
Yeah.
And Iran is one of Sri Lanka's
Yes.
biggest tea drinking nations. It completely was put to a stop. The exports came to a complete grinding halt at this time. In a situation like that, how are these tea workers going to survive if there is no production?
Shamit, this is a good question because it was discussed in the earlier stage also because the marketing responsibilities. You see, there is now in this trade, it is not alien subject to you as well. There is a worker, the manufacturer, the seller, and the exporter. Right? There are 4 chains are there. So what we are suggesting is this regimental method coming to 8 o'clock at the work and this old colonial method of work should be transformed in a more worker friendly model where they can benefit from where they will have a kind of a sense of ownership of the land, where they will contribute more for production, because everything depends on the leaf they pluck. Even in this now, if they wanted to increase the productivity based model should be introduced. Just not by crushing the people.
Yeah,
so
but when it comes to marketing and all, it's a big
exactly
problem. It's
so
not
what
easy.
I'm saying is,
just imagine.
it's not about.
No, I'm
just
giving a classic example. If you sold a tea at $5 to Iran, for an example, now because of the freight, the price has gone down to $6.50.
Yes.
This $1.50, who's going to bear?
So now, and also,
No, I'm asking.
No, that
Who's
I
going to bear
agree. In business, we don't only talk about the
No, but when this
existing
comes,
thing,
when this comes into play, all the estate
stakeholders
workers
will get affected.
Yeah, so then they will go to the streets and say the government has to compensate them.
Shamir,
But
I'm
in a
saying,
business environment, the situation is different, because in business environment, people tend to make money at certain occasions, people tend to lose money at certain occasions.
Now,
as a result of that, when trading comes into play, there is some equity.
I totally agree with you.
But now in a situation like this, where there is no certainty in the global market, the model that you propose will fail as a result of what I'm talking about.
Mr. Shamir, I totally agree. But let's say in a positive way. I am talking about the productivity. You are calculating in the marketing level. Yes, I am talking on the production.
No, anyway, but we'll talk about
Like, let me.
We'll talk about this.
You are talking.
it seems to
There
be-
are two spheres. No,
but
one
day-
production,
one
one
day-
marketing.
One day when we are
so
talking
you are
about,
you are
No, no, one day-
master in
one- I'm
marketing.
telling you, Barath,
I'm talking about
yeah,
production.
One day, Bharat, when we're talking about tea, I'm going to invite you.
Definitely.
You're going to sit here and give me some good
See,
answers.
last year tea convention also I proposed the same model,
Yeah,
which was accepted by many.
Many, but right, anyway. Subjective, anyway, right. Thanuka, I want you to close your remarks with lessons learned and the way forward. What has Sri Lanka learned, especially after 2022, and what must we do as a way forward? People Struggle Alliance, what is the momentum that you all will try to maintain in the next few months?
Initially, there was an agenda we agreed upon within the Araga, and even thereafter we proposed certain models in the previous elections. We as a Sri Lankan, we should understand that we have to get together and we have to develop our own economy without depending on the others. And then now they have admitted in certain occasions we have to discharge the promises to the IMF, and ultimately those are getting burdened to the people. And now the government, at the moment, actually the decisions taken by the government are not for the benefit of the people, but for the benefit of the businessmen or to the IMF. Now the government should understand the people elected them with several expectations. Now government should understand that they have to discharge those expectations for the people. And if we as a party, we stand with the people, and people's expect to get the people's expectation to done by the government, or if they fail, we have to again we have to decide what to do. At the moment, we don't want to we don't want to go against the government in certain instances, but we always criticize what they are doing. When they are doing false, we always criticize. And if they are failing to keep their promises, we always criticize. But we wait, because we still believe people had the expectation on the government. So we wait till the government discharge them. If not, we will stand with the people, and as we did in the previously, we'll do what the people expect.
Thanuka, very quick question. Why isn't it that we don't see any protests by any of your parties, like example, the Frontline Socialist Party, because we know that you all have a big say in the university system, and back then when there was anything small also you all would stage protests. We don't see that now. Why?
Yes, no. At the moment, we don't want to go against the government, and as I said, there was a great expectation of people, and we wait that been discharged by the government. But even in the court system and even in the other forums, we criticize. If needed, we will do the same we did in the past.
Right. Thanks a lot, Tanu. Were you able to find the name
Yes,
of
Mr. Lanka Pele is from the Socials People's Forum.
Right, so he's the General Secretary of the People Struggle Alliance.
Yes.
Okay, right. Thanks a lot. Because these names are not told a lot, no?
Yes. Actually, we registered our People's Struggle Alliance very recently.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Tanu. Thank you very much. Damitha.
First of all, Shamir, I should clarify myself. When I said Lakmali had lack of knowledge, what I meant was on the local government, ordinance, not on her ability as a legal practitioner, which I am very confident that she must be very able. So, as a closing remark, I would like to remind this government on the massive amount of promises that were given to the public for them to come into power. Especially they promised a substantial reduction in cost of living, but ultimately almost everything has gone up close to 100%. Now, if you take rice, when Ranil Wickramasinghe handed over, it was somewhere around 130 to 150. Now it has gone up to 120 plus. And coconuts, it's the same issue. Now also salt, for the first time, as you correctly said, in the history of this country, salt was imported, but the alarming issue is when a kilo of salt is unloaded at the port at 32 rupees a kilo and it's been given to the private sector at 70 odd rupees. Why is the maximum retail price marked at 180? So likewise we can go on and on. And as my closing remarks, I would also like to point out that since United States has imposed the 30% tax on our exports, when we had discussions with several experts in the garment industry, the industry is projecting about to a loss of about 20 to 30% of orders. So that is about 100,000 jobs lost. I don't know what the government has sort of planned to accommodate these workers that will be out of job, which is very unfortunate. And I must also say it's not something entirely responsible on the NPP government. How they negotiated, yes, we have issues on that. And finally, as the chair of the sectorial oversight committee on economic revival, I would like to ask Lakmali, I don't know whether she'll be able to answer right away. According to my knowledge, due to the IMF BSA, there will be $4.38 billion of repayment for ISPs starting on 2028. And also central bank governor has, I'm quoting the central bank governor, who has said that there will be outflows of 2.7 billion this year and 2.6 billion this year due to bilateral arrangements and coupon payments. So I would like to know from Lakmali what sort of economic policy and what sort of things they are going to implement.
Right, thanks a lot.
Having that in mind. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Always. Lakmali, you don't have to respond to that question, by the way, because it's brought in the last round. I don't think it's apt for you to respond to that, but I want to quickly speak to Barath. Barath, what's your closing remarks?
As a citizen of this country, on this day we remember of the people who protested, who sacrificed their lives, to establish a proper system for the country. It is essential for the government, who had promised the people that they will deliver the system change, and they should harp on not to depend on the existing system. As a policy makers, they should create new system rather giving excuses, because nearly 19% of their 5-year term has elapsed now. So it is time. They can't say it's new. And also, we as a responsible opposition will always support the government and also give our progressive thoughts and share our insights with the government, so that as a country we can grow together. As you correctly mentioned earlier, when this US tariff issue came, our party leader Mano Ganeshan spoke to the president, spoke to the opposition, assembled an all-party meeting, and we proposed some insights to the president to speak to the US counterparts and get things sorted. We are happy that the tariff has come down, but we have to work on more on our productivity and bilateral and multilateral relationship. And as a community, we are always covered with the labor issues. Labor issues one part of our issue, but as an ethnicity, we have been suppressed by systematic oppression. And when the UN Human Rights High Commissioner who visited in Sri Lanka, we Honorable Mano Ganeshan and myself in a certain occasion we have highlighted that our community has been in violation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a ethnicity. So this is the time where the economic growth and social growth should combine together and work upon. And this government promised there will be a constitutional change. We are eagerly waiting to for that constitutional change, because this entire system is based on our constitution. If this constitution is changed, we are open to propose progressive work, and we are also proposing the non-territorial community council, where our Tamil community also will have a say, and identify the root cause from the North Tamils, Muslim community, Burghers, Malay, whoever the community should have the feeling of Sri Lankans. So that it is a big responsibility of the government. As a responsible opposition, we will always be supportive for the government.
Right. Thanks, Barath. Lakmali.
Yeah. Thank you, Shamir and Shihar and
Naviksha.
Naviksha, yes. So I think because the tariff issue has just come up, and I do believe that it warrants a response. I do think that because the negotiations were mentioned, I think our negotiators have done well, because I was looking at the other countries, while the discussion was going on, and I think most of the countries have actually retained the previous level of tariff, and we have actually been able to bring it down by 14%. So I think it's a welcoming development. But I do believe there might be certain impact on our export economy, and especially the garments, apparel and rubber. I think that was the concern of the industry as well. So even with the negotiations, there were certain considerations that the government was taking on diversification and finding new markets, which will take a little bit of time, but we do have to move in that direction. And our priority is, of course, when we talk about the industry, the priority for us is the people who work in those industries, and they will be if there is a hit, they will be the worst affected anyway, right? So then there has to be some buffer provided from the government on that regard, and there were discussions on that previously, and I do believe that we have a plan B, and that not that we require a massive plan B, but I do think that there's a certain level of protection that the workers should definitely get. And about the constitutional reforms that Barath was talking about, yes, we have to go ahead with constitutional reforms, but we are also I think as a government and as a political party, we are in a situation of transition and transformation, where we are moving away from the previous system and getting into a new political system, and that has to be stabilized first. While I appreciate the very supportive comments about supporting government's initiatives and so on, unfortunately, at least at the parliamentary level, I do not see that support from the opposition. What we do see is nitpicking and sometimes blowing things out of proportion, or misguided criticism and so on. And I do hope, because one thing that we need to understand is we need to work on a national interest, and our country is at risk of so many volatilities. While it's correct that we have to pay back our debt in 2028, and we have to start repaying our debt, and for that we need a stable economy, and we can't face any more hits on the economy, and we are very concerned about that. So the external situation, since we came into power, I don't think it's not new also. I think this is the new normal. The external situation, the global politics is very unstable. Conflict and these tariffs and trade polarizing, that is the reality of our day. So I think we have to prepare for that. I do believe we are prepared for that. We actually had a discussion because I'm the chair of the sectoral oversight on economic development and foreign relations. We did have a discussion on this in the parliament as well, about facing the new realities. And one thing that we are keen on is moving away from maybe over-reliance on certain markets, and as developing our own self-sufficiency in terms of energy security and food security, and maintaining debt sustainability as we move ahead. So it's a challenge. I'm not saying it's easy. I don't think we have got, that is how parties like us come into power. We don't come into power when everything is going well, when everything is smooth. Of course, we can only come into power when, when there is a crisis, when there is space for change, when there is need for transformation. And we are not I mean, I agree that what Thanuka is saying about, the need for transformation is there, and I do believe that it's there, but we also have to be mindful about the fact that any severe, I mean, look at what is happening now, tariffs and war and so on. So any kind of, too much change can also hurt us in ways that we don't anticipate. So we have to be very mindful about that. That is how we are moving ahead, and hopefully it will turn out for the best. Not hopefully, it is our job to make sure that it turns out for the best. And thank you for all the suggestions. I especially like talking to Barath because he's very,
Okay.
I mean,
Only Barath?
No, I mean, I always like it when the...
Three of us?
Yes, the three of you guys. No, I mean... I mean, especially like, because it's always welcoming when the opposition is, very understanding.
SLPP is also in the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Attorney at Law
I rather
Lakmali.
not comment.
No, that was my personal comment.
Attorney at Law Lakmali Hemachandra represented the government tonight. She is a member of parliament from the NPP. Barath Arullsamy from the SJB Alliance. Damitha Wickramasinghe from the SLPP. Nice to have you as well, Damitha, as always. And Thanuka Nandasiri from the People's Struggle Alliance for joining us this evening on the show. Thank you very much, Naveksha. Thank you very much, Shihar Anis, who's an independent journalist, for joining us this evening on Face the Nation. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do. There ain't no answer. There ain't going to be any answer. There never has been an answer. And that is the answer. Take care and good night. Yeah, that was the